Let me ask you a simple question. Why are diamonds so expensive? Most people will give the same answer. Because diamonds are rare. Rare things are valuable. Rare things are special. But here's the strange part. Diamonds are not actually rare. Yes, you heard that right. And once you understand the story behind diamonds, you may never look at them the same way again. Think about the last time you saw someone propose. People don't usually focus on the couple. They focus on something else. The ring. And more specifically, the diamond. People don't ask, "Are you happy?" They ask something completely different. How big is the diamond? Which is honestly kind of funny, because imagine measuring love using the size of a rock. That's like measuring intelligence using the size of someone's calculator. But somehow, this idea became completely normal. Today, the diamond industry is worth more than $80 billion. Every year, millions of couples buy diamond engagement rings. For many people, proposing without a diamond feels almost impossible. It has become a global tradition, a social expectation, a cultural rule that nobody questions. But here's something most people don't realize. This tradition is actually very new. If we travel back just about 120 years, most engagement rings didn't contain diamonds at all. Yes, people got engaged without diamonds, and surprisingly, relationships still worked. Marriages still happened. Love still existed. The idea that a diamond ring is required for a proposal simply didn't exist. So how did diamonds go from being just another gemstone to becoming the ultimate symbol of love? To understand that story, we need to travel back to the late 1800s, to a place that would completely change the diamond industry, South Africa. During that time, something extraordinary happened. Massive diamond deposits were discovered. And when I say massive, I mean millions of diamonds. Suddenly, the world wasn't facing a diamond shortage. It was facing a diamond flood. Now here's where basic economics comes in. When supply increases dramatically, prices usually fall. It's one of the most fundamental rules of economics. If diamonds suddenly became abundant, their price would collapse, which would be terrible news for the companies mining them. Because nobody wants to sell diamonds for the price of gravel, so the diamond industry faced a serious problem. And their solution would become one of the most powerful business strategies in history. Instead of letting diamonds flood the market, they decided to control it, and the company leading that plan was De Beers. Their strategy was simple: control the mines, control the diamonds, control the price, and slowly, that's exactly what they did. By the early 1900s, De Beers controlled almost 90% of the world's diamond supply, and when one company controls nearly everything, they can decide exactly how rare something appears. Diamonds were not released into the market all at once. They were released slowly, very slowly, just enough to keep the illusion alive. The illusion that diamonds were rare. By the early 1900s, one company controlled almost the entire diamond supply. But there was still a problem. Even if diamonds were kept scarce, people still didn't see them as essential. At that time, diamonds were simply another gemstone. Beautiful, yes. Expensive, sometimes. But necessary for love? Not really. And that meant demand was still limited, which is dangerous if you're trying to sell millions of diamonds. So the diamond industry realized something important. Controlling supply was not enough. They needed to control how people think. So instead of selling diamonds as luxury items, they started selling something far more powerful: emotion, love, commitment. Because emotions are far easier to sell than products. And if you can connect your product to love, people will never stop buying it. In 1947, an advertising agency created a slogan that would change the diamond industry forever. 4 simple words: a diamond is forever. It sounded romantic, it sounded timeless, but it was also incredibly strategic, because the slogan did something brilliant. It suggested that diamonds, like love, should last forever. Suddenly, diamonds were no longer just jewelry. They became symbols, symbols of commitment, symbols of eternal love. And once an idea like that enters society, it spreads very quickly. Magazines started featuring diamond engagement rings. Hollywood movies showed romantic proposals with diamonds. Celebrities began wearing them, and slowly, people began to believe something new. But the marketing didn't stop there. The diamond industry introduced another brilliant idea: a rule. According to advertisements, a man should spend 2 months of his salary on an engagement ring. Yes, 2 entire months, which is honestly a pretty expensive way to prove you're in love. But the strategy worked, because suddenly the price of the ring became a measure of commitment. A bigger diamond meant stronger love. At least, that's what people started believing. And this is where psychology becomes powerful. Because once society accepts an idea, it becomes very difficult to question it. Imagine proposing without a diamond today. Friends might ask questions. Family might raise eyebrows. People might even think you're not serious about the relationship. And that's how marketing quietly transformed a gemstone into a global social expectation. By the 1970s, the strategy had completely worked. Diamonds had become the default engagement ring across the world. Millions of people were buying them every year, not because they were truly rare, but because everyone believed they were. And that belief was incredibly profitable. But here's where the story becomes even more interesting. Because while millions of people were buying diamonds, very few people ever tried selling them. And if they did, they discovered something surprising, something the diamond industry rarely talks about. But wait, there is something even more dangerous happening. Not laziness, not lack of talent, something much deeper, something most people never talk about. The biggest crisis of our generation. Everywhere you look, someone is telling you what success looks like. A YouTuber says. A stock trader says. Your parents say. And society says. Now imagine being 20 years old. No wonder people feel lost. No wonder anxiety is rising. Social media made it even worse. Because now, you are not just competing with your classmates. You are competing with the entire internet. One person is making crores with crypto. Another one is traveling the world through YouTube. Another one becomes a millionaire at 23. And suddenly your normal life starts looking like a failure. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Most success stories on the internet are exceptions, not the rule. But when exceptions become your daily content, and slowly, this creates a dangerous cycle. You compare, you feel behind, you panic, and then you jump to the next trend. Today you want to start a startup. Tomorrow you want to become a trader. Next week you want to become a YouTuber. And in this chaos, years pass, but direction never appears. But the real question is Is this really your fault? Or is the system designed this way? Because think about it. Schools teach you how to memorize, but they rarely teach you how to think. Colleges teach you theory, and the internet teaches you. Too many options, too many opinions, too many distractions, and somewhere in this noise, your own voice disappears. But here's the interesting part. The most successful people in history did something completely opposite. They didn't chase everything. They chose one thing, and they stayed with it for years. While the world kept changing trends, they kept building. And eventually, consistency defeated chaos. But this raises another question. If the solution is so simple, then why don't more people follow it? Because the hardest thing in the modern world is not success. It is focus. And that brings us to the final and most important part of this story. The part that can completely change how you see success. So what is the real solution? Is it working harder? Is it following the latest trend? Or is it trying to copy someone else's success? The truth is, success is not a race. And the biggest mistake our generation makes, everyone is running fast. And that's why some people spend years chasing success. Because success is not built on excitement, doing the same thing again and again and again. And the truth is, because the early stage of every dream, no views, no money, no recognition, just you and your effort. But here's the strange thing about success. It grows silently for months. Nothing seems to change. And then suddenly, everything changes. The same people who ignored you start asking for advice. The same journey that looked pointless starts looking inspirational. But the truth is, nothing changed overnight. The only thing that changed. And that is the biggest secret of success. Not talent, not luck, not shortcuts, just consistency. So if you ever feel lost, if you ever feel behind in life, remember this. You are not late. You are just early in the journey. The world moves fast. Trends change every day. But real success still follows the same old rule. Find something meaningful, stay consistent, and give it time. Because in the end, the people who win are not the fastest. They are simply the ones who never stopped walking. And maybe that is the real definition of success. If this video made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear this today.